Hi everyone, welcome to Dune Spice Wars. I'm DisturbingPuppet. Dune Spice Wars is a real-time with pause strategy game in which you play in the world of Frank Herbert's Dune. So we're going to go in, and today we're going to play as the floating fat man himself, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. That's the plan. So we're going to play a basic Battle for Arrakis, so it's a four-way fight. There's multiple ways to win. We'll kind of get into that as we progress. There is some variety as we go through, and we'll kind of see once we set this up. So, we get to choose. I have played all the factions except for the Fremen and House Harkonnen. Unfortunately, what I've noticed is there isn't a huge amount of variety in win conditions. There are certain ways that are much easier than others, and the different factions do have variety. They do have variety within each faction also, as you'll kind of see as we set things up. But the way you win, the way you play the game is basically the same through all of them. So far I've had the most fun with the smugglers actually, because they had a way that they could sort of supplement their income by setting up underworld headquarters and other people's bases and towns, and then you could also even weaken them for attacks or have them sort of be setting aside resources that you could then go in and collect when you grab the town, that kind of stuff. Alright, House Harkonnen. What's their special stuff? They can use oppression in Harkonnen villages. Don't know what that does. We'll find out once we get in. So there's no tooltip here for that. Can sacrifice an agent to reduce a mission's cost and preparation time. So agents are part of the intelligence aspect of the game where you're sort of collecting information on other people in order to do certain actions with your spies, basically. Villages gain plus 5% resource production per active militia. Every village has militia slots that you can put militia in to guard this place from being attacked. So every single person I put there going to improve the production. Villages suffer minus 10% resource production, so it sort of counteracts the resource production from the militia. Most places have 3 or 4 slots, so if you have militia, you're getting at least probably a plus 5% overall. So, not terrible. So if we play Harkonnen, wow, okay. Vladimir's a little bigger than I recall. Yeah, as the Emperor, at least in the older version, I'm specifically saying the floating fat man. So as we get more hegemony, so this is one way to win. So hegemony, you get to 30,000 hegemony, then you win the game. Probably the easiest way to win actually is to do that, and just get that from conquering territories. Certain territories are worth more than others. Gain 50 intel by pillaging a village. So pillaging doesn't conquer it, it doesn't free it from another enemy faction, it just sort of takes a bunch of resources. So we get a little bonus for pillaging a village. Killing an enemy non-mechanical unit gives 5% chance to receive a brainwashed agent. That's interesting. Most of the units are non-mechanical. There are very few mechanical units, actually. So when we kill like military units, we might have a chance of getting a spy, basically. Sacrificed agents give a chance to not consume an operation on use. So normally you'd have to kind of prep an operation in advance. It's kind of an action your spies would do. So if we sacrifice an agent, then we could do the operation, and then it's still ready to go after we do it again. Gain additional agent slot in each non-faction field. So the more agents you put on certain places, the more resources you get. You'll kind of see that once we set up. I'm not going to do a whole play-by-play of this. We'll probably jump in and out of this game as we go through. Probably just in 2 parts. We'll see how it goes. Most of the time when I've done this kind of setup, it's usually about 2 hours, hour and a half to 2 hours to win, but it's kind of been longer because I've sort of been playing around with the factions and seeing what they can do. I could probably do it faster if I just focused on the 2 probably easiest ways to win. Okay, so one other thing we can do to kind of customize our playthrough, over here we have pick 2 counselors. Every counselor gives you different bonuses. So even within each faction, there's a little bit of variety. So I haven't seen the Harkonnens. Let's see what we do. So this guy. Oh, it's Raban. Villages have an extra militia slot, so that works in with our faction bonus really well. Gain 50 Solari upon killing rebels. So I have seen Harkonnens play, and I've seen them fighting rebels. I'm assuming their oppression ability has a chance of spawning rebels at villages. That's what I'm assuming. So yeah, we've got Raban. We've got Ayakan Nafud, not sure. Level 1 military units undergo, can't regenerate health, 50% of cost refunded upon death. Units take less time to train. Okay, so it makes kind of your basic guys sort of suck, but once they gain levels, they're fine, I would assume. Because as you gain XP, you go up to a higher level. So your basic guys are cheap. You get the money back for them when they die, and they are recruited faster. That's okay. I don't know if I really like that much. Raban's definitely better. Hey, it's Fade. Fade Wrath of Harkonnen. Played by Sting in the old movie. Can use corruption on Landsrod resolutions, causing a loss of Landsrod standing for the elected enemy faction. So that's something once you get into, there's politics involved and stuff, and there's Landsrod resolutions that you can vote on, and they don't always go your way. They might go to a different faction, so in this case we can kind of get a punishment for whoever wins. While at least one village is under oppression, we get more influence, and agents are recruited faster. Okay, not the greatest. Influence production is good. That helps you for votes in the Lanzarote stuff. The agent recruitment speed is just for spies. And we have Piter de Vries. Each sacrificed agent permanently reduces their mission cost by 20%. Sacrificing agent gives 500 Solari. So looking at this, there's a lot of things involving agents, so it kind of seems like the Harkonnens are very much focused on spying or military. I think we have to take Raban, because that works way too well with our basic faction bonus. So Raban, definitely 100%, we're taking you. After that, I'm not really sure. Fade, possibly. I don't know that I'm going to do a whole lot of agent sacrifice stuff. I might. It depends if we get... if we're doing a lot of fighting, we get free agents, which we can then sacrifice. So if we're doing enough fighting, that helps sort of supplement our spying. So that's kind of the way that would work. I think I might just go with Fade. So we can sort of poison the well for a resolution if somebody wins it. And as long as we're oppressing somebody, we get some extra influence production, which helps us for Landsrod resolutions. I don't know why I keep saying revolutions. Resolutions which can even win you the game. So I think that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go with Fade and Raban. A very classic Harkonnen setup. And I know in the newer movies they were saying, what, Harkonnen? But yeah, I always thought Harkonnen. So I'm going to say Harkonnen, because that makes the most sense to me, and it sounds cooler to me. Harkonnen sounds a little weak. Harkonnen. It's that strength, power, blubber. It's got that feel to it. It's got weight behind it. So every map is different. The maps kind of shuffle different tiles around for resources and stuff. I think you always have one spice producing territory adjacent to where you start, but I could be wrong. It just kind of seems like that's how it always goes, because you need to produce spice to keep the empire running and keep everyone happy. And if you don't produce enough spice, you're kind of in a little bit of trouble and start having negatives, kind of status effects hit your group. So you want to keep your spice production up. Spice is also the main way of making money. All right, we're immediately going to pause the game. So we are playing against House Akaz, the Emperor himself, House Carino, Shaddam IV, and the Atreides. So a very kind of classic, it's all the houses involved. So we start with our base, which later we can upgrade. We start with an Ornithopter, which is going to scout for us, but they can't actually fight. So this is as far in as we can zoom in. You can see units and stuff when they come in. So what do we want to do? So we can zoom way out and look at the map. We're actually all the way down in the southern part of the map. With the Smuggler's Hide last time, I actually knew exactly where everyone started last time, which was kind of fun. Okay, so let's take a look at resources and stuff really quick before I start giving any orders. So it'll probably be about like this. Alright, so over here shows what we've got, and we can look at our faction progress, and if we've got different stuff, and where everybody's at. We can also get another little bit of information if we need a reminder on what our people do. This is the amount of spice. We can adjust this for how much spice is going where. So this is going into stockpile to hold. We need to pay out 80 in 24 days time. If we don't have it, we're in a bit of trouble. If we have extra, we can just sell it off. We could put all of it into our stockpile if we want. We could sell all of it if we want to. Over here, as we progress down and the map moves around, this is not unlocked yet, so in 30 days the Chom market will open. So you can also win by having 50% of Chom shares. Chom shares start at a reasonable price and will increase in value as people buy them. There's only a limited number of them. To get 50% is very difficult. I have never been able to do it. I've gotten up to, I think, 45, 46%, something like that, and the game ended other ways. And I was even trying to stall out the game to make it last longer to get to that point. So I don't know that it's really that reasonable unless your House Carino, because House Carino, which is the Emperor's house, actually starts with, it's either 7 or 9% of the shares. But as more shares get added, that percentage gets diluted, of course. So you have to kind of keep buying. So they have a big advantage. The smugglers, I think, also have a pretty big advantage because you can have a really good economy with the smugglers. So that's why I was getting a lot of the percentage. All right, we have our current amount of money, our income coming in, and nothing too crazy. Income money is basically used for building buildings, building upkeep, and building military units and military unit upkeep. Over here we have Plascrete, which we use to buy and construct buildings. This is our manpower, so if you want to put militia in a village, you want to recruit military guys, that kind of thing, you need manpower for it. This is fuel cells. Certain territories can produce fuel cells, which you will need for vehicles. So your flyers and things aren't actually really yours. They're connected to the guild favor. So the Spacing Guild controls your kind of aircraft and frigates and stuff. And you need to have a lot of favor with them in order to get them. And it's basically them loaning it to you because they like you. And the way you can improve the guild favor is either through events or through a specific building you can build where you basically kind of give them some spice under the table every day. And that will slowly build up your guild favor. To get a frigate, one of the big vehicles, and they're different for each faction, so they do have different effects. You need 100 guild favor for one frigate. For the fighters and stuff, it's usually about 20. Over here we have water. Water is important because buildings require water because there's staff there who need to survive. You also use water for your military units, like how far they can move across the desert. The more water you have, the more supplies your military guys have, so the further they can move around. Over here we have authority. So authority builds up over time. It is affected by your agents, and this is what you use to annex local territory. So if you want to take over territory, it's going to cost you authority. If you just want to free it from somebody else and make it neutral, it doesn't cost you anything. If you want to just like pillage a village, it also doesn't cost you anything. So that's something you can kind of keep in mind. Pillaging will get you some resources, doesn't get you any authority, doesn't make the territory really any weaker, but it does produce less resources for a while. That's about it. All right, over here we have Landsrod standing, so everyone starts right around the same, unless you're like the Fremen or smugglers, I think. And this just gives you some passive bonuses depending on how high your standing is. It doesn't really matter that much. So we talked about the guild favor a little bit. So this is the easiest way to win, hegemony. So you get it from controlling regions, fulfilling your spice contracts. Craft workshops are a special building that only some factions can build. Not everybody can build them. They'll give you some over like every day, essentially. So it sort of depends on your faction a little bit and your tech tree. So that's something we'll look at here in a minute, as well as military units, because everyone's military units are different. Everyone's tech tree is different. They have a lot of similarities most of the time, but there are differences. So there are certain like groups that can't build certain buildings or can't research certain things, and we'll kind of look at that a little bit in a minute. You can kind of see here that so the more resources we have as far as territory we've got covered, special region bonuses. So there's certain special regions that have a special icon that will give you different bonuses, but they also give you an extra 1,000 hegemony. So conquering territory, doing events, that kind of thing, this is the easiest way to win. Get to 30,000, you win. Second easiest is getting elected to be the governor of Arrakis. And that's something that happens in the Landsrod, which is not going to start right off the bat, but you'll start having votes and things after a little while. Okay, so that covers that. Over here we have our research, which we can't look at because we need to conquer a village first. And the Landsrod, the council hasn't opened yet. We'll kind of get to see that here in a little bit. And then this is for agents, but we currently have no agents, and we are working towards recruiting one. I don't know if it'll actually, yeah, we can't even look at it. We currently have 50 intel, so 50. The intel is what we use to engage in different operations for our spies, things we can do. Harvesters, spice harvesters, we can only put in places where there's spice. We can actually see there's spice out here, so we'll check that out here in a second. Ornithopters, we scout with military units. So first thing we're going to do is take our ornithopter here and tell them to scout over there. The other thing we're going to do is build some military units. So we can give orders here with the push pause. So what do we have? The basic stuff's usually pretty simple. So a trooper here, so it shows you the amount of manpower I need to recruit them, the Solari upkeep, I keep saying gold, and requires some of your manpower. We also have another stat here that is the command points, so we kind of use this for the size of the army. So there's a command point requiring 4 there. So these guys are berserkers, gain up to 50% power depending on missing health. So the more health they're missing, the more damage they're going to do. You can kind of see 400 health. It's actually kind of low for basic guys. 19 attack is pretty good for armor. Pretty standard. Close combat guys. Gunners. So these guys are a bit weaker overall. Same health, less armor, less attack, but they attack from range. So they also have shrapnel ammunition, 100% attack speed depending on missing health, so they shoot faster the more hurt they are. They do area damage. They have a 30% chance to destroy armor, which is important when you're attacking an enemy base. And they do extra damage against flying units, but if they're engaged in close combat, they do less damage. Cerberus guys. So these I've seen with the Harkonnens running around. So they're very weak, but they hit really hard. And when they die, they turn into 2 unchained Cerberus units, but I can't see what that is. Alright, other stuff we can't produce yet, stealth probes. What do these guys do? Only visible from short range. Don't attract sandworms, so they're a mechanical unit. They can attack. So they're basically just kind of a stealth military unit, can do some strikes. Are they ranged? I would assume that they're ranged. Yeah, I mean, I would assume that they're a ranged attacker. Executioner, kind of a heavier unit, so these guys I can't build until I've got my hegemony bonus up to 10,000. So these guys are just overall an improvement on the troopers. While in combat, enemy nearby unit death grants +1 power and heals 50 health. That's pretty good. Harpies, so this is our basic flying unit. So some of these are quite different from each other. So they attack in an area, 30% chance to destroy armor, can't investigate discoveries, can't occupy villages, can't target village buildings, consume Solari to heal. There's a little bit of flavor text there. So yeah, they seem pretty normal. The smugglers units can only attack ground targets, so that's what I was kind of looking at. So these guys can attack air and ground. The Overlord is the frigate, so you can kind of see it does require the 100. A lot of upkeep there at 50. Can activate decimation protocols. Don't know what that does. Generate 2 stings per day. Don't know what that does. Stock up to 5 stings a day. Don't know what that does. We'll have to actually build the unit to find that out. That's one thing I would kind of like to see, a little bit more information on that kind of stuff. And the same kind of stuff for flyers. They can't do certain things. They require money to heal, that kind of stuff. So we're going to go ahead, I think. What's cheaper? Upkeep is 6. Upkeep is 6. You require 40. Require 30. I think, I mean, I can only grab a couple units right now. We'll grab a Cerberus and a Gunner. We can't have more, it's just we can only train a couple at a time. So once we find the village here, we can send our guys over at it. The other thing we'll want to look at is once we have the village, we'll want to check out the research, because like I said, everyone's research is different. So we're on our way. Ornithopter's going to go check things out while we're training our troops. And if I want to, we can kind of look here. It'll give you a layout on the territory. Even if the territory is big and there's lots of different terrain, you only need to conquer the village. There's only 1 village in each territory. Sometimes there's actually no village. So if the village is here, we're actually in pretty good shape. So we can reach that pretty quickly once we build some military units. It sort of depends on how much defense they have. I'm actually going to go ahead and build a basic trooper as well if I can. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, so we now have scouted this territory. So this is the cost to take this place, so 21. The further stuff is away from your base, the more it costs, and the more you already have, the more it costs usually. This is the current defenders, so there's 2 guys there, we can take that out pretty quickly. And there are some different bonuses for each village. So this one, extra experience gained for all military units once we control it, and extra resource production when the village has at least 1 building of each type. There's 3 different types of buildings, which we'll see once we kind of get in. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and take you and just put you on auto recon, so you should finish this territory before moving on to the others. I might even build another ornithopter. Yeah, let's do that, so we can just get more scouting done quickly. So this territory only has 2 defenders, so we should be able to take it with the guys that I have. So we just tell them to go over and attack. I'm not even going to wait for that 3rd unit to get built. As long as the Cerberus guys get in there first, we will be just fine. Oh, and if we want to take a look at the models, we can kind of zoom in. This is as far as we can go. Yeah, big, nice guns there. As we move in, the defenders will come out. And we're actually close enough. You saw those rockets coming in. My base is going to target anybody inside this circle. So because we're fighting inside this zone, they're taking some additional punishment. So this should be no problem at all. Now we actually have something interesting here. So there are these different places that will show up on your map that have different interactions. If we have agents, we could send an agent to check this out. It's a marauder camp and get some manpower. It's basically kind of we show up like, hey, anybody want to join? And some of them do. Or we can give them some money to get some military units. And some of these will give you intel, some of these will give you money. There's all kinds of different things. All right, so we're checking out this territory. That's totally fine. So what we can see here also, Spice Field, and then Wind Strength. Wind Strength affects some of your research that you can do to give you water. Up here, basically not much here, but it's very windy. So that might be a good territory depending on what kind of tech we have. There's a specific way to gather water based on the wind speed of an area. Alright, so now we move in. We get a little highlight. They're very good actually at giving you these updates on things, so you can kind of let things run and just sort of pay attention to the pop-ups. So here we want to annex this. So we're now working on that. It will take a little while. Our guys will sort of hang out. So you can kind of see in our military units, there's the health bar at the top and another bar below. That's actually our supplies, which is based on our water. The longer we are away from other, like our territories, the more supplies we're going to use. Once we start taking over a territory, we don't start using supplies anymore. All right, so we actually got that. Now we have militia slots. So remember, we have a negative to our production unless we have a number of militia, but because we have Raban, we have an additional militia slot. So we definitely want to fill all these militia slots ASAP. That does require a lot of manpower, and you can see that we're also losing manpower currently. Why is that? Our units are hurt. They need to recruit guys to replace them. The more villages we have under our control, the more manpower we get, but we can also build buildings that will affect that as well. All right, we've unlocked intel. So intel, let's take a look at that. All right, I'm going to take a look at this really quick, and we'll come back. So just a moment. Okay, I just wanted to kind of look over the research here really quick in order to see what's different about the Harkonnen. So they have mostly the same stuff as everybody else. There are a few differences. So one thing in particular, this crafts workshop down here. This is something that a lot of the other factions have higher up in the tech tree, so it's easier to get to because these buildings get you hegemony every single day. So that's one thing. There's basically some different stuff as far as like production, economy. That's mostly what this is. This is military. This is sort of intelligence and influence, and then this is statecraft, sort of different sorts of things to help you get hegemony, that kind of thing, and interact with the locals. So there are some differences, nothing too major. Like I said, the economy stuff's basically exactly the same. The military stuff is pretty similar. The only thing really different, there's a lot of things that will give you some bonuses against rebels here. So if I want to go for Arrakis Butchers, so we kill militia or rebels, we get extra manpower, so that's kind of nice. There's something here where I think we get reduced cost to take over a territory that we've had in the past. That kind of stuff, that might have been down here. So yeah, I think that's here. Less authority cost, so it's cheaper if a village was once mine to get it back. There's some bonuses for attacking sieges, which is where the Fremen live. So even on a map where there are no Fremen, there are actually little Fremen strongholds that will occasionally send raiders out to attack local people they're not friendly with, essentially. We have some extra ways to get more militia and to make our militia better. That's probably quite good, especially with our abilities. There's quite a few things over here under intelligence, though. So we have a few things that are a little different. Not like drastically different, but a little bit different. So we have a way to get some more intel for Landsrod, extra agent slots in Landsrod, oppressed villages giving intel production, all that kind of stuff's kind of interesting. Insider trading, if we want to sell Chum shares. Yeah, interesting stuff. +5 max agents, that's also pretty interesting. So as we get more research, the research time increases. So as we're going through, the worse it's going to get. So initially, like looking here, it's like, oh, 10 days. No, it's not really, because even if we beeline to that, by the time we get to that, it's going to be higher because we already have researched some stuff. So first things first, the most important stuff is to get to filtration systems as far as I'm concerned. So filtration systems gives you water production based on the wind, but it also gives you, at least for these guys, not every faction has this, they get some spice production per positive water unlocked by the wind trap building. Not everybody gets that additional spice bonus. So I think the smugglers didn't get that. So I think we want to head down that. Work ethics is pretty good. Advanced engineering is, yeah, decent. As you can kind of see, there's little icons here. So if there's a little building icon, researching this will unlock some kind of building you can put in your main base. If there is, let's see, do these guys even have any? Yeah. So here we have a little person figure as well. So that unlocks a particular unit. So if we want to train assassins, we need to do this research. Yeah, nothing too crazy. We can queue things up. I'm going to go work ethics. Advanced engineering, filtration systems. That's my priority. Work ethics giving me the plascrete production, that's quite good. The manpower production also is really helpful early on. Advanced engineering, extra resources, so that's good. Filtration systems unlocks that new building. Once we get that, then we can look at other stuff. Maybe we'll start going down some military stuff or intelligence, because that seems to be what the Harkonnen are good at. And we are no longer paused. Let me pause that really quick. So first things we want to build here, if I can, is spice production. So you can kind of see it's going to cost me pretty much all of my plascrete. It's got a pretty high upkeep and requires some water as well. God, we haven't even finished building our basic trooper guy. We're going to go ahead and grab that. You can kind of throw it down wherever you want. Certain buildings do matter more. We can unlock more building slots depending on the territory. In this case, it costs 100 plascrete to do that. We have the manpower. We could go ahead and start getting some guys, but I'd like these guys to heal up first before I do that. This territory, yeah. So we either send an agent or hire these guys. Sometimes these require you to send a military unit to get some kind of benefit. What do we have out here? So crash spaceship, so agent or send military, and then we get some Landsrod standing for that. But that honestly is pretty far away for our really crappy water production to get there. So if I send these guys out, they're going to walk across this desert all the way out there to do that, then hang out for a while. Probably not the greatest idea. So we're checking out now. Okay, so that's all one territory good. I kind of want to check out everything adjacent to me. Looks like I'm quite close to the edge of the map. I'm not sure if there are more territories down here. It's a little hard to tell sometimes. If we're on the very edge, that's kind of weird. Usually we have some spots around us. So I'm assuming that there are at least a couple territories here. So we're just going to hold off for a minute while we're getting spice production ready to go. We currently are producing 0 spice. Can we access this yet? No. Things will unlock as we progress through. Alright, what do we have over here? Yeah, these are pretty basic territories. There's no special stuff there, which is unfortunate. There are certain tiles that will give you increased plascrete production or get you resources you can build fuel cells with, or extra solari. So it's kind of unfortunate to see that. Yeah, I know we have that under control, thanks. Once these guys are healed up, we'll kind of go back more positive on the manpower, and then I'll start just building guys. Doesn't really matter too much till we have the building ready to go. Alright, there's our other military guys. We'll keep them there. I could try to send them out to go grab the standing, but honestly, the research is probably better. checking things.
Yes.
Alright, we have our second. Could you check out here? Like, is that actually a territory? Okay. Yeah, it's another just basic territory. There's nothing special here at all. That's unfortunate. I'm hoping that one of these, like, there should be one or two there. I really hope.
Agreed.
Oh, there we go. Till we research it. Yeah, so this is one we really wanted. The rare elements. Processing plant gives me a bunch more cash. So this is probably the next place we want to grab. But getting there, it's actually pretty far. Our water might be a problem. Like, we might be, like, out of resources by the time we get there. Let's get you guys over here. And I want to take a look. Oppression. So it doubles our resource production. At the end, there's minus 20% local production and a chance to rebel each day. Looks like it does cost me some manpower to do that, though. So we'll get everybody together. We are positive now for manpower. It's a one-time cost for militia. They don't cost you anything in the long run. Our militia are actually cheaper than the smugglers faction I was playing at before. So, yeah. Give me as many as we can, and we'll totally fill that out because we do get that extra production thanks to having more militia in an area. So as soon as we have that, we want to get that up because we want as much spice production as possible. And we also have some ruins there. So we can spend some plascrete there to get some authority. It helps us take over territory, or we can tear it down with a military unit and get some extra plascrete. Early on, plascrete and manpower are going to be your main limiting factors. Okay, and here it's actually like a tiny little territory there. Usually I try to control everything adjacent to my base and then spread out depending on what's where. But we'll kind of see what we have as far as options as we progress. Yeah, this is definitely where we're going to want to go next. Get that Solari production up. Okay, this one has plascrete, so that's also pretty good. Alright, and that's the last that's adjacent. Good, good, good. I think, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do auto recon. It should finish this region before moving on to another. Usually they'll check out everything in an area, and those things do pop up occasionally like these. If we do use them, some stuff will come back. On a certain timeline, things will sort of pop up again. So yeah, we started all the way down at the bottom of the map, which is actually probably quite good for us. We got our first research done, so work ethics is done. So we have more plascrete production, more manpower production, and unlocks a maintenance center village building, which helps reduce the cost for the upkeep of buildings that are in the territory and adjacent to the territory. But we're already heading on to the next thing, and then we'll move on to filtration. So between plascrete or money, what's more important? I think we want to go for the money first. It's also further away, so getting out to that village is going to cost me a lot of supplies. I'm a little concerned we're going to run out of supplies on the way. There are only 2 guys there, so the fight shouldn't take too long, I would hope. So I'm going to go ahead and send them out there, but I'm a little concerned about them running out of supplies on the way. Alright, so we got our harvester. So we're going to go auto recall, which means if a sandworm shows up, they just automatically call for help. We can assign one of our ornithopters, to kind of hang out with the harvester, which will increase the production. We can also put additional crew into it. So you don't actually need to assign crew, but you're going to do more if you do. And it requires 40 crew for each. Different tech is going to get this all the way up to 4 crew we can have in each harvester. But sandworms will get attracted and potentially try to eat your harvesters. So where? Okay, you're on your way there. How about we just have you check that out? I don't want to build another ornithopter yet, even though I'm designated like one. Tell you to deploy. So Spacing Guild's going to come down with a ship, move us on out. We are apparently going to go all the way around this way to attack I thought we would go down and then up, but maybe we can't actually go up that. I'm not sure. Yeah, okay, we probably can't go up that. In Tennessee, our supplies are decreasing. We're crossing some pretty nasty desert here, so we definitely need the water. Once we start building more stuff, buildings and things are going to require water, so that's why you probably want to grab anything that's like this first, because we don't have any water production at the moment. We can go ahead. Let's get... I do like the demolition militia. There's ranged militia or demolition militia. Demolition militia can just attack flying stuff, so that's why I usually go for them. That's really the only reason. And we're currently bringing in 26, so our stockpile currently is 1, because we're selling off some of it. We're going to go ahead and shift that up a little bit, so you can kind of see as we shift it, the amount of Solari coming in will drop, but the amount going in the stockpile will go up. So it gives you a real-time view of that as you adjust the slider. Alright, we should be fine. We're not even at halfway. We should make pretty quick work of these guys because we've got shots going in and we've got 2 attackers up front. Especially once we get their close combat guys out of the way. Head on in, and yeah, these guys can't really fight that well once they've got people in their face with swords. Okay, and we are going to annex that as well. So now that we're there, we don't have to worry about the supplies. So even though we got pretty low, once we're annexing, we're sort of living off of the village while we're annexing, as long as we don't get attacked or have anything bad happen to us in the meantime. And then we'll slowly get our supplies back after we have the territory. And yes, there is a day-night cycle. It does matter for some factions, like the smugglers have a tech that lets them do more damage at night. So it's kind of an interesting thing, which was kind of cool. Hey, we actually have more spice here. Okay. So yeah, as you check things out, initially what looked pretty crappy is looking pretty good. We've got spice, money, plascrete, and more spice. So having 2 next to our base is really, really good. I mean, technically it's 1 away from our base. Plascrete is probably the priority, then I think we go spice. Alright, we have this under control now. I don't have a whole lot of manpower, and we're actually losing right now because we're replacing our losses. What I'm going to do is go ahead and start working on... Where is it? It's the processing plant? Yeah. So, processing plant, we can only put at this tile. It's got the rare materials, so this is going to give me 24 Solari production, which is pretty great. It does have its own upkeep. I'm not sure if it, like, counts... Is this 24 after the upkeep? I'm pretty sure this is 24 before the upkeep. Like I said, there are buildings that can affect the upkeep and drop it, that kind of thing. So this we might want to grab for plascrete, but we're doing okay on plascrete at the moment because I'm not building a lot of buildings. Something that will kill you early on is if you build too many buildings right away, because every building requires money and requires water. So if you don't have water, you can't actually travel over territory to conquer stuff, and if you don't have any money, you can't really build anything that's actually important or build up your military, pay off your just upkeep costs and things. So once we have that under control, actually I just want to see, do we get an indication here of like production or anything? Yeah, by having these guys here, we can actually buff the production even more as long as we have a variety of buildings, which is quite nice. And I don't know if this affects everyone inside of our house territory or only inside this region. But you only get XP for killing stuff, so I would assume it has to be inside the region, but could be anywhere. Yeah, we don't have anything here to give me an indication, but we should be at... What is it? It's minus 10 plus 5 per active militia, so that gives me a plus 10%. So we're at, should be plus 10% production, and then if we get additional buildings here, we can get plus 30% production on everything inside that region, which is quite nice. So I'm just kind of waiting here to heal these guys up. Then we'll start worrying about doing other stuff. We could send somebody over to get some plascrete. Could send somebody over there to get some standing. Not that it really matters that much. Like I said, I'd rather get the research, but we'll have that unlocked here in a minute. As soon as we get an agent, we'll show that off. Yeah, you can kind of see something here. I'm pretty sure that's popped up since we've been here. So the sort of thing's on a timer where things will sort of show up. None of the Fremen sieges, which are sort of their strongholds, are on the map until you interact with some things to find out where they are. If you don't know where they are, they still might send guys at you. Once you know where they are, you can trade with them, giving them some water in exchange for some kind of resource that they have extra of, and that will slowly improve your standing with that particular siege, but others might still attack you. They just kind of send out raiding parties every once in a while. Okay, like this. So this is a downed ornithopter, and we could send a military unit, and we get a free ornithopter. I think that's a pretty good deal rather than the intel, so I'm going to send my Cerberus guys down to do that. Not all of you, just the Cerberus guys. The rest of you, stay here. Thank you. So it just replaces the ornithopter that I have dedicated to spice production. Now, I could just go all in on spice production. If I want to do that, this village, 52, I'm producing plus 4 authority a day, I'm at 44. This is closer to my base because it's adjacent, so this should be cheaper. It's still 51, so it's not a huge difference, but it does make a bit of a difference. The question is, do I want plascrete right away, or do I want more spice right away? You do have a maximum stockpile when you start off of 3,000. It will get up to costing you over 2,000 for each month eventually, but there's a building that you can build in your base that will get your stockpile capacity up to 6,000. So I think that's actually pretty helpful a lot of the time. There's also some stuff, there's a maximum on your manpower, which you can improve with the building in your main structure, that kind of thing. But upgrading and putting those in your main building costs a lot of money, costs a lot of plascrete as well. So you need a pretty good chunk of stuff to do that. All right, we have an agent. So this is the espionage window. So we have an agent over here. So you have a special ability. All of them have at least one special ability. Certain factions and things can affect that. Global slaughter production increased by 0.5% per information level. So what is that? Well, that's this level stuff you see here. The longer you have an agent somewhere, the more that's going to go up. Certain things can also affect it as well. So we can put this agent in counterintelligence, which slows down enemy actions against us. We can put him on a specific other faction to kind of find out information about them, but he could get captured depending on counterintelligence. Or we can put him on Arrakis itself. So this lets me do those things I was talking about, having an agent investigate something. Also produces more authority and intel. If I go onto the Spacing Guild, I get manpower and intel. If I go to the Trom Market, we get Solari and intel. And if we go to the Landsrod, we get influence and intel. And influence just helps me pass votes. So each influence is basically one vote. So as you can kind of see here, I'm at 75 and gaining 2. And once we get in there, which we can't do yet, because I'm a regular house, I'll have 100 votes plus whatever influence I have. It's sort of like influencing the lower houses. And then there's different things we can do over here once we have our spies going. So these are operations. We can have up to 3 active at a time. Buildings can improve that. So we could have probes kind of checking out an area. We can sabotage someone's base, drop supplies, which can help keep your guys alive, scavenger teams to get some extra resources, get some money from killing people. Combat drugs, haven't seen this one before. Extra speed and power for non-mechanical units. Leave order, so it's sort of commanding everyone to leave in an area. Decoy thumper calls a sandworm. Sleeper agent, any non-temporary, non-mechanical agent has a 50% chance to spawn a sleeper agent upon death in combat. Huh. So we play this on an area when we're fighting. Anybody who dies might give us some agents essentially on that territory, so affecting that faction that controls the territory. That's kind of interesting. I'm not sure if they're effective or where they'll show up exactly, but yeah, we still have a maximum of 10 agents, which we could improve. We saw through some tech there. EMP bomb, mechanical units, and missile batteries have less power and speed. Toxic vapors, that's pretty good actually. Non-mechanical units suffer no health regeneration and minus 20% health per day. So chemical weapons. So in order to do that, we do have to have some influence with the Spacing Guild for that, as well as intel and money. Administrative burden. I've seen this before. Yeah, so the factions, military units are trained slower, base buildings come slower. Defensive breaches, pretty good. Extra damage for the main base. Right, we can also win by killing everybody else off. We can kill everyone else off through military action, destroying their base. Unfortunately, Carino can make 2 bases, so that makes things a bit harder. Or we can assassinate the leader. So that is a whole other mess that takes forever and doesn't work out very well usually. Infiltration cells, this is part of the way towards assassinating somebody. We set up different cells inside their territory, which will help assassination. So for each different faction. And then, of course, the assassinations. So we have to have level 3 on our target, have level 1 on pretty much everything else, have a bunch of intel and a bunch of money. And then we start it. The enemy has a chance to detect it, and then has a chance to stop it. So it pretty much never works out. First thing I'm going to do is assign to Arrakis. So this is going to give me more influence, which will help me take over territory, but also lets me investigate stuff. So as long as there's something somewhere, I can grab someone, and now that I have an agent, or have that agent investigate this, that's going to give me a boost on research for something. It doesn't give me the thing itself, it just gives me a bit of a boost. This, yes, we can pay money to get more influence, pretty good. Or we can send a military unit and we can find out where a siege is. That's probably not a terrible idea early on anyway. Okay, our next research is done, advanced engineering. So extra resources per building constructed, which is quite good. And then we have another building unlocked we can build in the main base. We're working on filtration systems, which is fantastic. We definitely need that water production up, but we want the gold first because we need the gold to keep the buildings running. So things are actually going pretty well. Eventually, I might grab these guys because these are actually pretty good military units. If we have enough money coming in, that'll be something we want to do. Why are you not progressing this? Okay, they're just standing there looking at it, not actually investigating it. Yeah, another just basic territory down here. So yeah, I think we go Plascrete next probably, and then we go Spice. Early on, you don't need that much Spice. We already have more in the stockpile than what the tax is going to be on us. One thing that I think is kind of weird, playing as the smugglers, so the houses, it makes total sense. You're here to extract spice from the planet, so it makes sense. Sure, do that. But as the smugglers, you still need to do this exact same thing, but it's just counted as a bribe to kind of have the authorities look the other way while you're, engaging in your illegal activities. I'm not sure if the Fremen have to do, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. The Fremen would have to do the same thing, but they probably do. I don't know what it would, it's probably a bribe, just like the smugglers. So some things are a little too similar in that way, but what you gonna do? And Trump shares are going up and down, even though the market's not even open, which is a little odd. So what did we find? Oh, we actually have something interesting out here. So this is one of those special regions. So in this one, it's a space wreck. So space cruiser scraps will appear periodically. +1 guild favor with Space and Guild branch anywhere, so if we have this territory. +1 spaceship part with a recycling plant anywhere, and we get the 1,000 hegemony. So each of these special territories get me 1,000 hegemony. Currently we're at 1.2 thousand, which is the same as everybody else, so we're pretty much right on par with everybody. Yeah, that might be a place we want to beeline to also, and the village isn't that far out of my territory. So if we advance out, that is probably somewhere we want to grab pretty quickly. We could save this spice for later. I could even save the Plascrete for later. Once we have the village exposed, we can see how much we can do there. Like how much authority is going to cost to grab that. We've got enough to grab in addition to their territory if we wanted to here, but I might check that out. Might be worthwhile. Just going to get this active. This first one we're going to stop after we kind of check out the Lanzarote and everything. So when you finish off a point of interest, you can jump in. Alright, so we get a free Ornithopter. Go ahead and have it auto. And then the Cerberus units. Actually, let's have all the military guys come back here. And I still need to get your militia up and running, so let's do that. Start working on that because we want more gold production. So I'm being kind of careful because I've expanded too quickly before with buildings right off the bat, and it's just caused a lot of problems. And we can even kind of play zoomed out like this if we want to. Depending on how things are going and where the other factions are, it might not be a bad idea to check that occasionally. Look what's going on. See where your units are. Alright, Burbu. Cost 84, holy crap. We'll have that in a bit. It's not going to take a massive amount of time. Extra economy building production, that's quite good. Enemies dying gets you more money as well. The special territories usually have bigger militias. We could take that with our army, I think, although the Cerberus guys might die. Do we want to... Yeah, I mean, we're fine, I think, for Plascrete at the moment. I could even go ahead... Yeah, let's do this. So now I have enough. If I want to, we can just rush Burbu. I think that's not a terrible idea. Let's just stay in our own territory for a bit here, keep our supplies up. It's not crazy far to go, so I think we should be okay on water. As long as these guys can take the militia there, we'll be alright. And then we've got enough manpower for this. So once those guys come online, that's going to be just extra production for gold. Solari, money, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I think we really want to grab Burbu there. That way, so we could have this kind of sticking out, but then we can kind of at our leisure sort of grab these when we want them. Because we'll sort of have them blocked off a little bit. Wind is pretty good here, so actually water production here will be quite good as well. So the building that we're researching right now gives me water based on the wind of the area that we're in, and even gives me some passive spice, which is nice too. I should probably set up what I'm going to research next, though. So after this, what do we do? Extra militia is honestly pretty good because it gives me 5% production. We could go extra crew and harvesters, so we can have more spice production. Or we could start working on other stuff. Less cost to annex villages, +1 water per controlled village. That's also quite good. Agents recruited 100% faster. That's kind of important. This doesn't really do much, just kind of unlocks a building for me. Yeah, modular parts is really good. Martial economy later is going to be good. Intelligence network's good. Local dialect studies, also good. Let's get my economy going early on, and then we'll worry about everything else. So after the filtration systems, we'll start working on this so we can put more crew in harvesters. I don't even have any crew in my harvester at the moment because I've just been focusing on getting my militia up first because of the production bonuses we're going to get. Right, you guys, let's go take Burbu. Hopefully. I think we have enough power here to do it. My Cerberus guy might die if he goes in first. The other thing I'm going to do... Yeah, we're fine. I think we've got positive Solari, so that's fine. So I could adjust it. We'll eventually need more space. So even here, there's Space Cruiser Scrap. So agents... Oh, that's quite good. Agents getting guild favor, or send a military unit, we get guild favor. So either way, we get guild favor. And I'm working on this for the tech. Let's take a look at our fight here. There are 2 close combat guys out front with shooters in the back. The Cerberus guys are getting wrecked. And they are going to die. Spawn some weak units there. Once we get through the basic melee militia, we'll be totally fine. Yep, there we go. Oh, the Lance Rod is open. Okay. So, here's where we can do all our goofy stuff. And did we take... No, we didn't take anything affecting this. Yeah, so there's various different positions. None of this is going to be unlocked yet. You can kind of see if you're eligible. If you are, your icon will be down here. Eventually, yeah, get the Dune governorship and hold on to it for 30 days, and you win as well. So that's another thing. So these are the 3 things that are up for a vote. This is how many votes we have, plus our influence, so we can cast up to 188 votes. Looks like everyone else is basically the same. And then the minor houses will do whatever they want. Different factions do different things. So for example, we've got this going on. If anyone votes for this, they get 10 Landsrod standing, so sure, I guess. It's increasing the upkeep of military units for everybody. This is only one faction, gets less upkeep. Everyone loses standing. Why would I vote for that? So you can vote for or against, you can choose which house you want to vote for, that kind of thing. Yeah, I'd definitely vote for myself. I'm going to put a little bit into... Well, that's not that important. We'll put a little bit of that. I will support this to the bare minimum because we basically just get that back. It's only 10, right? Yeah, I mean, what's the point, really? I guess it gives me 10 next turn, so it's sort of saving 10 this month to go into next month. And then I'm going to dump everything else into trying to get less upkeep for my faction for a month. But because I'm passively producing influence as we go through, there's a certain time period where voting takes place. You kind of want to check back and then add some votes. Oh hey, we've got a trade request from House Carino.
Make it worth my time.
So you want some spice in exchange for a non-aggression pact? That's what it looks like. Sure, we could do that. It's a tiny amount of spice, it really doesn't matter. Right, we grabbed the territory. Yeah, nothing popped up there, but yeah, now we're in truce with House Carino, so we get some extra Landsrod standing. I don't know who's close to me, so that's kind of the main thing. We can violate the truce and get some negative effects on us, or we can back out of the truce paying some influence. Yeah. Okay, this territory we want. Thank you very much. Check back in. I don't have... Yeah, at this point, I'm not producing super fast, so I don't have any more spend yet. But as you progress through, you're producing so much so quickly that you might actually want to check occasionally. Okay, so we did lose a unit. Those Cerberus guys are dead. Actually, somehow positive on manpower. I guess we haven't taken this yet, so we're not losing manpower yet. Oh, what's going on? What was that? Okay, raiders are coming. That's unfortunate. I have no manpower. I do have enough militia here that I think we're totally fine. So if they're probably going to attack the closest position. So this is one of those raids from either rebel faction or from a siege. Probably from a siege. And up here we're just grabbing territory. But we've got a full complement of militia here. We should be totally good. So we're taking over Burbu. We'll kind of do a little bit more here before we finish up. We'll watch. We get a warning a ways away, surprisingly. Hey, we finally get this done, so give me that research bonus. Now what? So I have an agent. So agent doesn't do anything there. We have to send a military unit there. Could get some manpower. That's actually pretty good, but I'd really like these military units. That's a nice way to get some fast military. Let's do this. Even though I could send military guys there. Now what I'm going to do, we're going to drop this. We're going to sell more. And I could wait to see how the vote goes, but I'm going to go ahead and just grab these guys. So we get some kind of elite local units here. I'll just bring them back into the territory. Not sure where I want to expand to. I think the priority is probably going to be the Plascrete and the Spice. So now that I have more territories, I think it was like 51 before, 51, 52. Yeah, it's not bad because they're basically adjacent or close to adjacent. So that works out okay. All right, here comes, it's just one little dude. Yeah, we're totally fine. There goes our militia. Should absolutely destroy these guys. There's our new village. Hegemony threshold reached, so we can now build in our main base. So yeah, actually we now have our bonuses. I guess we didn't have them before. So we can now do oppression on our villages, sacrifice agents, villages get more resources for militia. So out here we'll want to do militia. What's the priority here though? Space and Guild branch. Extra spaceship parts with recycling plant anywhere. I don't know if I even have recycling plants. We'll see once we get out here what I want to build. Once we get the research for the filtration system, we'll probably put water out there first. It's not bad at 4. For the moment, I'm going to kind of hang tight while these guys are cover. We want to get militia up there so our production's better. Yeah, defense, no problem. You can lose your local militia that are fighting. If they do, you'll have an empty slot, so you have to kind of rebuild the militia. So if a big fight comes, you might actually lose some guys, and then they're just gone. If you don't pay attention, they're dead. So yeah, what's our militia situation? 2 ranged guys, that's an easy win. 2 close combat guys, that's somewhat easy win. So I can oppress a territory now if I want to. Yeah, I need more manpower production. That's definitely a bit of an issue. These guys that we've hired as mercenaries don't actually cost me anything here for command points and stuff, but they also don't heal. So if they get hurt, they just kind of slowly get weaker and weaker until they die. So it's always a good idea to have them with your other units. I'm actually just going to have everybody get together down here, because if I expand, we're probably going to grab Plascrete and then go from there. Now we're getting close to having to pay out the 80, but we're totally good on that. I'd like to get people inside the harvester, but I'd also like to get this going. I'm just going to wait for the tech, and then we'll get water production there. Yeah, we'll just get water production online everywhere once that's good. Okay, filtration systems are done, so we're now going to work on the modular parts, which gives me extra crew, spice silos building, and harvester building. Okay, so it got me survival training. So that's super quick, so we'll just do that next. Even though it's not that important, it got it down to 1 day, which is pretty nice. Our agents can only investigate one thing at a time, so we can't actually do anything about that yet. So up here in Burbu, what's your deal here? Economy, resource production. Where There's my wind traps. So 2.4 water here for wind strength. Pretty darn good. It'll be even better once I get some militia up here. The 8 gold upkeep, though, is going to add up. We could go ahead and just throw water production everywhere. It's probably not the worst idea in the world. Except we're missing Plascrete. Yeah, Plascrete might be what we go for next. 65. Yeah, we'll have that in a little bit. Once these guys are all healed up, we'll go back to being positive on manpower. There's buildings we can build in our base that'll increase our manpower production. There's buildings we can build in villages as well that will also increase production of manpower. We do have some extra votes, so let's throw 10 more votes that way. I'm going to pay our spice here in a second. Kind of like to get some guys in the harvester. Okay, what else have we found out here? So there's a desert area here, so that's nice. Gives me a bit of a border there. So this resource here is where we get the power cells. We haven't seen any anywhere else, so we might have to grab this if we want to start producing flyers and stuff later. Down here, we did find the abandoned Imperial Station, so it gives me some money for research hubs in the area, so just getting some research going. That's pretty reasonable as well. We want to definitely buff our research as we progress, because it gets slower and slower as you work your way through the tech tree. So that's also an option. Probably Plascrete first. Yeah, I think we definitely need Plascrete production up first. Okay, so we just paid our Imperial tax. So since we paid our Imperial tax, we get some extra money for selling spice. If we don't pay it, we get some negatives, I think, but I haven't actually ever run a negative on that, so we're fine. And we basically have a whole month to get up to 233. We're already at 164. We'll be totally fine. So we get to 40. I'm actually going to go ahead and give you some crew. So that's going to improve my spice production a bit. So more spice production just means more money, more spice we can have, all that kind of good stuff. What's this? Intel or send a military unit to get some cash. That's really worthwhile. 300 is quite nice. Probably want the siege information there. Could send a military unit there for siege info. Because I'm going to have a lot of water coming in, so we can start trading stuff for water here quite soon. You guys, marauders, go out here, and then we'll send them out to grab the money. Kind of hung up on each other there for a minute. So I think we'll get to the vote results before we finish up today. How am I doing? Hegemony-wise, we are pretty far ahead of everybody else. They'll catch up sooner or later. I think it's mainly because we grabbed this territory that gave me 1,000 bonus. That's really all it is. Okay, we got the results. Alright, so nobody wanted to lose Landsrod standing, so decline on that one. Apparently I won the less upkeep, so that's pretty nice. And then this one support, so that's the negative thing that's effect here. So military units have increased upkeep. So we have less upkeep, but we have extra upkeep for military units. We're not going to build any military units super soon. I don't know that these guys count. Yeah, see, these guys have no upkeep because they're mercenaries. We paid them once and we're good to go from that point. whereas these guys do have upkeep. Yeah, so we're now raking in 123 every day, I think. Yeah, it's a pretty good start. Manpower is still a bit of an issue. We might want to build some buildings to address that. Can I build... Yeah, let's go ahead and get a wind trap up. Plascrate's going to be a bit of an issue to start with as well, too. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good start playing as the Harkonnen. I haven't done anything evil yet, so I don't particularly feel very Harkonnen-y, but we'll see how it goes as we progress. So we'll check back in next time and see how the campaign is going. You kind of see we're sort of down here in this corner, and then the map goes all the way around. I'm hoping that the other factions are up somewhere else. Usually they'll start fighting each other pretty early. We can go ahead and try to get a peace agreement if we want. So we could come in. It just requires some influence to try to get a non-aggression pact. And we could trade resources and things as well if we want to. Nothing I really want to do at the moment, although I could look at that and see, just out of curiosity.
I have no grief with you.
Yeah, so you've got nothing I really want. You're interested in spice, plascrete, and influence, but other than Solari, you don't have anything I'm really interested in. The Atreides
Greetings.
have quite a bit of money. Something else I could kind of do is try to take resources from an opponent that wants to use them for stuff. So if I know they want something, I could try to trade for something else just to get it away from them, so that makes it harder for them to do things. That sometimes works. Not sure if it's really an effective strategy, but it's worked a little bit, because I'm not sure if the AI actually plays by the real economy or if they kind of cheat. But yeah, this has been a quick look at a beginning of a game playing as the Harkonnen in Dune Spice Wars. I've been Disturbing Puppet. Thanks for coming by. Hopefully I'll see you all next time. Until then, have a good one.